So we just built the Atal Setu, which is the longest sea bridge of Asia, one of the longest in the world, obviously the longest in India. And that Atal Setu has used so much of steel that you could build 17 Eiffel Towers out of that one bridge. It has used so much of steel that you could build 4 Howrah bridges, which is actually an entirely steel bridge. MMRDA today is doing infrastructure projects of approximately 4 lakh crores in the entire Mumbai Metropolitan region. As far as MMRDA is concerned, we have last year raised $40 billion of FDI from the World Economic Forum at Davos, all of which have been activated, and we have also raised domestic funding to the extent of about 5 lakh crores. The total $100 billion of timeline of investment over the next 10 years is what we are looking at. Firstly, I would like to congratulate everybody associated with this event in organizing this grand expo. And I had the fortune of visiting a few stalls, and I must say that it is a large expo, very large expo. It has got representation from almost all sectors of the steel industry, and I'm also very happy because when I started my education, that time of course we were taught कि 6 core sectors है. One is cement, one is steel, one is oil, one is natural gas, one is fertilizers, I say, and the 6 energy, the 6 core sectors which will lead into the economy. And the thinking was that as the economy will grow, so these core sectors are going to be required anyway. So we used to monitor the core sectors कि भाई steel का growth कितना हुआ है, what is the growth of coal, what is the growth of sale of cement or production of cement, and that used to give there used to be those boring reports which used to come out, the economic surveys, and उसमें आता था कि because of these factors we are expecting so much growth this year and all that. Now I see a big change because Cement Association is also advertising and showcasing its products. The Steel Association is advertising and showcasing its products. The oil and natural gas sector, well, it is into that business in a very big way. Energy is today totally changed. So we are coming out and we are showcasing our products, something which is very, very required. And I'll tell you why. Because the sector that I represent today, that is essentially, again, core infrastructure. So we do the infrastructure which enables, people to reach their offices. So we build roads, we build bridges, we build water supply schemes, we build sewerage networks, and we essentially build large areas. That is what we essentially do. And as we build these large areas, our aim is to attract investment in that area, get business in that area, and as business comes in, then there will be residential growth, commercial growth, industrial growth, and there will be cultural activities in that area, and so on and so forth. All of this fundamentally depends on the availability and the knowledge of the infrastructure provider, of the infrastructure promoter, which is an organization like say MMRDA or the BMC or MSRDC, such organizations which essentially are purchasing these products. It all depends on their knowledge and how much do they know about the various products that are there. Otherwise you end up buying the same thing, and when you end up buying the same thing, then you end up doing the same thing, and if you are using the methods that you have used 20 years back, then the results that you are also going to get are going to be the same. Today, in fact, we are seeing a huge growth in infrastructure, and the Honorable Prime Minister of India and the Honorable Chief Minister of both have made one thing very clear in their vision, that growth and development has to be inclusive and growth and development has to be infrastructure-led. And as we move towards this process of infrastructure-led growth, then of course steel becomes very, very fundamental, and steel is something that we need hugely. So we just built the Atal Setu, which is the longest sea bridge of Asia, one of the longest in the world, obviously the longest in India. And that Atal Setu has used so much of steel that you could build 17 Eiffel Towers out of that one bridge. It has used so much of steel that you could build 4 Howrah bridges, which is actually an entirely steel bridge. Out of that brought to my mind when I got involved with the Atal Setu, कि उस ज़माने में किसी ने हावड़ा ब्रिज जब सोचा था at that particular point of time, then at that particular point of time he thought of a steel bridge because of the soil structure in that particular area. That was the only thing that was possible, a suspension steel bridge. And how much steel was procured at that particular point of time and how difficult it would have been to procure that steel at that particular point of time. So with that comparison, today we have a great production. The growth of the sector is very huge. MMRDA today is doing infrastructure projects of approximately 4 lakh crores in the entire Mumbai Metropolitan region. Other organizations are also doing a lot of investment. For instance, BMC is having 2 lakh crores of work which is going on. So then there are other organizations like MSRDC, MMRDA, CITCO, etc., which are all working in the and therefore the demand for cement, steel and such products is going to just go up and up and up. As far as MMRDA is concerned, we have last year raised $40 billion of FDI from the World Economic Forum at Davos, all of which have been activated. And we have also raised domestic funding to the extent of about 5 lakh crores. The total $100 billion of timeline of investment over the next 10 years is what we are looking at. So when you have this kind of, desire to have infrastructure-led growth, then people talk about the money. But I think money is the least of our worries. Money is there in the market. If the project is marketable, then money comes. But what is more required is where do you get the sand? Where do you get the gravel? Where do you get the aggregate? Where do you get the labor? Where do you get the steel? Where do you get the cement? Where do you get the skilled manpower? And that is why it is very important that we do this backward linkage into the industry, and it is very important that we engage with the industry and your suppliers and your recyclers to ensure that the supply of these raw materials for the infrastructure industry is something that is always there. In fact, steel, I think today, with the desire to execute infrastructure faster, because otherwise these projects take a long time, and today I think the country is tired of waiting, so they want things to be done faster. So therefore, if you want a long span bridge, then you need steel. You can have a full steel bridge. You can have a full steel building, as somebody showed me in one of the stalls. They have erected a full steel building. In fact, when I was the managing director of CITCO, so I gave a challenge that let's build the fastest building in the world. So the contractor and the consultant took up the challenge. It took them 6 months to devise the mechanism. But ultimately, they came up with something which we named as Mission 96. And Mission 96 was to build 96 flats in 96 days, 1 flat a day. And that led to that housing project, which was about 1 lakh housing dwelling units to be provided, making 1 slab a day. And I think that would be the fastest mass housing project ever constructed in the world. That is the project that CITCO has executed, and now it is up in the chopping block for sale. So when that planning was done, one of the fundamental things was how do you procure all these raw materials? Kahan se layenge? And so the contractor was a big contractor, and he had the linkages. But when I think of the smaller guys who are working, so there are people who are building small roads. The concrete road har jagah ban raha hai. So there are smaller people who are building those roads. When a larger contractor gets the work, he sometimes sublets part of that work to another person. So that other person also gets those roads. And is he able to actually reach out? And does he know what are the various options available in the market? And does he know how he can get the best price so that he does better business in whatever price that he is getting from the employer? So does he know that? And I think expos like this will actually serve a great way, go a very, very long way in, for such kind of budding entrepreneurs in the infrastructure sector, in the housing sector, in the water supply sector and all others, that they can come here and they can get to see what is available in the market. They can make their linkages, they can get the best prices, and perhaps they can deliver the best products. I thank the organizers for having invited me here. I think it's a great event and a great occasion. And so thanks once again, and Jai Hind.